you Gen Z pretty or Gen Alpha pretty? I don't know about you, but I am constantly finding myself so stressed out about social media, especially as a content creator. I always feel so pressured to keep up with this trend or that trend, or I feel like I should be doing this or that. And I think a really big topic of conversation these days is beauty. But now we have two different generations of beauty. We have Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I'm gonna start with Gen Z because I'm a Gen Z, so like I know like a lot more about that topic. So Gen Z was the first generation to be a teenager and have social media. So this is where like all the social media trends kind of started. I think first was like the artsy Instagram aesthetic with the black and white photos. And then there was the Tumblr aesthetics, which were always kind of like toxic, but amazing at the same time. And now in today's time period, we have hundreds and hundreds of trends to follow and keep up with. I think like at the beginning, like the older Gen Zs were not young enough to be able to say, I want to be an influencer when I grow up, because that didn't really exist yet, but they were young enough to see like social media take off. When we talk about beauty, Gen Z is very centered around just like being unique. It's all about individualness and not being like the other girls. When you grow up in a world where you witness social media become extremely oversaturated with a lot of people doing a lot of the same thing, naturally Gen Z are gonna try their best to stand out. I think that's part of the reason why Gen Z is like the generation who started all the different aesthetics. Gen Z has literally created an aesthetic for everything, from e-girl to vanilla to coastal grandma to tomato girl. Like, it's ridiculous. There is always a label for something. And like I said, since Gen Z is like obsessed with being like quirky and like different, they just love their quirky music artists like Bella Porch. For instance, she got famous from a TikTok video, and now she's an influencer and a singer, and she creates like a girly, quirky type vibe when it comes to songs. Someone else is Billie Eilish. Being a Gen Z herself, Billie Eilish is like the mascot for Gen Z. Very quirky, outside the lines, and different. But honestly, I don't really think she's different like that. I just think that everyone else makes a certain type of music and has a certain vibe to them. Like, you know, those basic pop stars like Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, like she's not like those artists, so naturally she stands out. And I want to make it really clear that I'm not saying that only Gen Z can like these artists. I'm just saying that it started with Gen Z and it's very Gen Z centered, these artists. We also have Melanie Martinez. Of course, you don't have to be a Gen Z to like Melanie, but her main demographic are Gen Z. Melanie has always been known for being alternative and quirky, and when it comes to beauty, Gen Z is the culprit of pretty privilege and TikTok pretty. And I think at this point we all know what pretty privilege is. The concept that pretty people benefit in life from being perceived as beautiful. They're treated like royalty, everyone's nice to them. I mean, life on easy mode. I mean, I guess Gen Z didn't make up pretty privilege, but they definitely stirred the pot. But TikTok pretty, I feel like that's all Gen Z. TikTok pretty is making the thirst traps and using the TikTok filters. Over the years, these TikTok filters have just gotten extremely insane, to the point where now you can basically get a new face with the click of a button. It's insane. And even though Gen Z weren't the first to get plastic surgery, they definitely didn't shy away from getting cosmetic procedures. Procedures to enhance this or that, make this perkier, fit into this. Overall, Gen Z is still pretty surface level when it comes to like just beauty. In a nutshell, Gen Z is prettiness, TikTok pretty, not being like the other girls. And I feel like half of them like deny all these things, but they're all true. It's just like wanting to be so unique, but then because every Gen Z wants to be unique, it just makes you like everyone else. Gen Alpha. Where do I begin? Beauty and skincare, and a little bit of Olivia Rodrigo. Those like three things are what Gen Alpha eat and breathe. Whenever I make a video about Gen Alpha, every single time I just have to cover their obsession with skincare because it's so relevant. Skincare, skincare, skincare. I think this skincare trend started because Gen Alpha are always on social media and TikTok, and so they were exposed to beauty and makeup, and since they're too young to wear makeup, naturally they gravitated towards skincare. So So we slowly started to see more and more kids in beauty stores where you would normally see teens and adults. And a lot of people are extremely upset and annoyed with, you know, Gen Alpha going into like the beauty stores because they're saying that they are, you know, destroying like the makeup testers that are on display and just making a big spectacle about, I don't know, different makeup products or whatever. They don't even care about actual skincare. They just want to do trendy things and have the trendy drunk elephant products or whatever. The average Gen Alpha is spending nearly $300 a year on cosmetics, skincare products, and fragrances. And when I say that Gen Alpha is spending this money, I mean Gen Alpha's parents are spending this money because Gen Alpha is pretty much like too young to be having like their own jobs. So they take their parents' money or they do like chores around the house or whatever to get this money. And a lot of these products that they're buying, they don't necessarily need, as I said before. Like they will get a cream for dark circles under their eyes and they're 8 years old, so they don't have any dark circles. Just all these anti-aging serums and these products that are marketed to turn back the clock and make you look 10 years younger, when 10 years ago Gen Alpha was either not even born yet or just, you know, being brought into this world. There are even like Gen Alpha influencers, which is so insane to me. And I assume like these Gen Alpha influencers demographics are people their age because I really can't see like a 30-year-old watching like an 8-year-old put on a face mask and show their night routine. I really just can't see that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, you know, the number of 12 to 15-year-olds buying online has skyrocketed by 39% since 2021. And something I've noticed that is really popular among like Gen Alpha is very bright colors. I think the term that they're describing it is preppy, but there are like different types of preppy. Because for me growing up, preppy was like schoolgirl type stuff, like schoolgirl vibes and plaid and things like that. But I'm not talking about like the nerd preppy. Their preppy is bright, loud colors and accessories and like ribbons and bow ties. And when it comes to beauty and being pretty, it will always be about your looks. But Gen Alpha pretty, I feel like it's more about what trendy things you have that determines how pretty or ugly you are, rather than how like actually attractive you are, if that makes sense. Like if you are a true Gen Alpha and you want to fit in, you're gonna have like your bright pink Lululemon jacket and the latest like Nike shoes. You're gonna be more Gen Alpha popular if you're using like correct slang and using all the products that they use, rather than like if you just fit into the social constructs of beauty. Like sure, if you're pretty, that's one thing, but if you don't like have the latest Stanley Cup or like any Ulta beauty products, then you can forget about being the most popular girl in school. And when it comes to like the slang that Gen Alpha use, it's so funny because when I was like in middle school, like we had all these like different terms to use. Like I think Gen Z was like the people that made up like spilling the tea and like, oh, your slang and stuff like that. And now it's crazy because like I am like so confused as to what half of these terminology words mean when it comes to Gen Alpha, and I feel so old and it's so embarrassing. Like people are saying stuff like, what is it, like skippity toilet and like Riz and Ohio, Sigma, all this stuff, and I'm just like, what are you saying? Like I feel like with Gen Z, it was like you could piece together what that meant. Like if I said like, yes girl, you're slaying, I feel like you would be able to use your context clues to find out what that means. But if I say that, oh, bro's using his skippity toilet Riz, you can't, it doesn't really make any sense. So it's just like saying random stuff. Like even like I'll get comments on like my videos and like I'll have like Gen Alpha like saying random stuff and I'm like, what are you saying? I don't understand what you're saying. I just feel like Gen Alpha is just so much more immersed in like TikTok and social media and things like that, and it's just really sad. I remember when I was 9 years old, I was like blasting like One Direction in my room and I had like my boy band posters and things like that. But now like 9-year-olds today are beauty influencers. So overall, Gen Alpha is basically just having like the latest and greatest products and skincare and using the right like slang that is what makes you basically beautiful and like pretty. That's what makes you pretty. I just think it really makes you put what beauty is into perspective, because as we know, like beauty is just extremely subjective and different for everyone. But I think that we have the power to create our own definition of beauty, and it doesn't have to be like necessarily this or that is, you know, what makes you beautiful. So I just think you can just do what you want, because beauty, of course, like I just said, is subjective. And yeah, it's all very interesting to me. It's just so crazy like what the world has come to. If you like this video, give this this video a big thumbs up. Leave your comments and opinions down below. And of course, I upload every single week, so I'll be back next week for my next video. Bye guys.